Hi Year 4, welcome to my first live lesson that I've done recorded, so sort of recorded live, as it were. I am actually here. Please let me know any feedback, please do let me know if there's anything that will help. I'm hoping that you'll be able to see everything and things like that, so if things don't work, then let me know. I'm basing the lesson today, it's our English lesson for Monday the 11th of January. And I'm basing it today very much on the slides that are in the PowerPoint, because there are still some people who can't access these, and also just in case, like I say, if the practical things aren't quite working, then I don't want you to be left with nothing to be able to do. So it's a nice lesson today. It's a nice revision lesson. You've just done your maths, which is a completely new topic and a new concept that we're getting to grips with. So your English today is actually a revision. It's something we've done really recently, but it's definitely something that we all need to practice, all of us. And it's our learning intention today is to use brackets for parenthesis. Do you remember in class just before Christmas, and I got you all to say out loud, let's do it now, parenthesis. Now your turn. Excellent, you're good at it. Okay, so can you remember, firstly, this is the first question, isn't it? Because we did it just before Christmas. What were we using brackets for? What was the purpose of them, and what was the aim, and how did they help something? Just pause the video if you want and have a little think. Yeah, they were to add extra bits of information to a sentence, and quite often they're the sort of the light-hearted bits. They're the little extra added snippet of info that you wouldn't otherwise have known. They might give you something that just explains a bit more in context. So we're going to go through some of those options now. We're going to have a look at them. There's one on your first slide. I'm going to hold a paper copy of the slide up and hope you can see, but you'll be able to look at that properly when you're doing your work. Okay, and on that first slide there is a sentence, and it is, I put on my coat and left the house. And then with the brackets in it, I put on my coat, which was so cosy, and left the house. So the original sentence has to make sense on its own without that extra information, and that's the really important bit, and that's the bit we need to practice, because quite a lot of you, when you were writing your stories, put in bits of information, but actually if you took that bracketed information out, the sentence wasn't a real sentence, or you'd almost put two sentences next to each other, and then you'd put a bit of information in the brackets in the middle, and that's not quite how it works. It has to be within one sentence. So we're going to have a little work on that. So that one is just really, really clear, that I put on my coat and left the house is a perfectly simple sentence. Gives you the information, the coat was put on and then the person left. But there's that added bit of extra information, which was so cosy, and that's the bit that sort of, like I said, it's going to work really, really well for our autobiography, because it's the nice informal chatty style of, I put on my coat, which was so cosy, and left the house. It gives that extra little piece of information. Guess who's coming to join our lessons? Do you remember who she is? It's Betty Bug. Do you want to hear her? Because you're not here, she dares to come out, you see. She likes it quiet, doesn't she? Right, let's listen, see if you can hear her. Did you hear her? Let's see if she says anything else. One more time. She's chatty today, isn't she? Because she likes it nice and quiet. Now she's going to be in our lesson in a little bit. She's listening very, very well at the minute. I'm going to pop her on there, and then you can see her and she can see what's on the screen. Okay. In fact, she might need to sit up. Here you are, Betty. Let me put our book under there. And you can sit on there. So we've got Betty with us. Now, she's going to come up a little bit later, but first of all, I've got an extra sentence for you to have a go at. So this is one you're going to need to pause the video again. So Can you see up here? I hope so. I'll read it out in case it's difficult to see. I need to wear my jumper today when I go out. Okay, that is the sentence. It's a plain, simple sentence. I need to wear my jumper today when I go out. Now, I've given a little bit of extra information in some brackets, but I need to know whereabouts in the sentence this information needs to go. So the information that's in brackets says, it is very cold. It is very cold. So let's hear the main sentence again and see if we can think where in that sentence this extra bit of information needs to go. I need to wear my jumper today when I go out. So what is this pronoun it referring to? What is the pronoun it talking about? Which noun is it replacing? I need to wear my jumper. Is the jumper very cold? I need to wear my jumper today. Today, is today very cold? It is. When I go out. So, does that help you to know where that information's going? Pause the video and I want you to write down in your books. That's one thing I have forgotten then, isn't it? We need to start in our books writing today's date, Monday the 11th of January, and the learning intention. So pause the video now and write that. Hi, so you should have just written your date, underlined it, left a line, learning intention, don't underline it, leave a line. And then I want you to write this sentence, okay? And this will enable me to know, it's like our little secret sentence, isn't it? Because I will know when your work comes in whether you've watched this by whether this is in, because this is the extra bit. So I need to wear my jumper today when I go out, but it needs this brackets of this extra information in it. So where are we going to put that? Let's just remember what we said. We said there is a pronoun here, the word it. That is referring to something. It has replaced a noun. And we decided that it was talking about today. I need to wear my jumper today when I go out. So can you please now write that sentence but include the brackets and this bit of extra information in the right place in the sentence? Pause the video, write this and then come back to me. Okay, was that all right? So shall we check? And if you have got it wrong, doesn't matter. It's okay. That's the whole point of us having a lesson. That's the whole point of us learning, and for me to know we need to practice, isn't it? So you must never be worried if you're getting it wrong. It just means we need to try a different way, or we need to try it a little bit more, or we need to keep practicing at it. Betty's going to have a go in a minute too. So you should have put in your book, I need to wear my jumper today, brackets, when I go out. Shall I show you what it would look like? In your best handwriting, I need to wear my, curl my jumper today. You watch how I'm making those letters just to help remind you how we do them. Then I'm going to do my brackets because it's the today that we're talking about. It is very cold. Just explains about today and why that person's going to need to wear their jumper. And then when I go out, full stop. So now the sentence reads, I need to wear my jumper today. It is very cold. when I go out. So can you see there's that extra little bit of information that's sort of almost like a little quiet word to the reader. It's almost like a little extra explanation. So I need to wear my jumper today. Well, it is very cold when I go out. Can you see how that works? Okay, so now we're going to go on to what is your next slide, but I just want to teach you. I don't want to keep going back and looking at bringing up PowerPoints and things. But Betty has had a go on the PowerPoint, and you'll be able to have a look at that. She's had a go at a couple of sentences. And Betty Bug must do better. I hardly dare say it when she's sitting here. She really does try, but she often gets it wrong. So you have a look at those sentences. The next task that you need to do in your English lesson is going to be pause the video again, have a look back at the PowerPoint slides on Google Classroom, have a look at Betty Bug and what she has managed to do. I'll give you a minute now for you to go and have a look at the PowerPoint and have a look at Betty's questions. Pause the video now. Okay, have you had a go? You had a look at Betty's and had a look at where they might have gone wrong. So while you were doing that, Betty had a go and she's rewritten them up here. She's been very busy. She's very tired. Put her little legs up there. And so it said, I drove to the beach for the day. And then in brackets, Betty put, which was miles away. So it is extra information and it does refer to the sentence. So I don't think she's gone completely bonkers. And the second one was, I can see that Betty hasn't even crossed her T, and I think that's something that we must do. I'm not going to let her get away with that. I wanted to jump on the very expensive chair, in brackets. I'm sure that you've had time to think about this, and I'm sure that you've had a go at writing it how Betty should have written it, but let's just check. Let's see. I drove to the beach for the day, which was miles away. What was miles away? Yeah, the beach. The beach was miles away. So again, we don't put the noun in, do we? It's replaced it. But that will help us to know where the brackets need to be. I drove to the beach, brackets, which was miles away, close brackets, for the day. So, Betty, this bit needs to come out from here, and it would need to come up here. We'll go in that gap there. Can you see? Is that where you put it? If you didn't, if you put it somewhere else, perhaps once I've finished speaking, you can pause the video and you can write it again as it is correct. Yeah? So I drove to the beach, which was miles away for the day. But you'll need to write it as a full sentence. Don't just do the little arrow, please. Okay? Actually write it out again as the full sentence. But if I do that, we'll be here forever. The second one, I wanted to jump on the, and then she's put in brackets, very expensive chair. Now, she's not sort of at the moment given us any extra information to the sentence, because if we take that bracket away, let's listen what we've got. I wanted to jump on the. Doesn't make sense, Betty. So the sentence that made sense to start with must have been, I wanted to jump on the chair, or I wanted to jump on the expensive chair. One of those. Could be either. So if she's going to add this bracket in the right place, she's put it in the wrong place. I wanted to jump on. We don't need the bracket at the end of the sentence because it doesn't make sense. I wanted to jump on the, you could have either put the bracket around the word very, because that's the extra little bit of information, or the bracket around the very expensive. I wanted to jump on the very expensive chair. Okay, that's the extra bit of information. Does that make sense? It's the little extra bit. Betty, what do you reckon? Have you done better? You get there? I think she liked it. Just dropped my pen and picked it up now. Right, okay, so the next bit that we're going to do is going to be the bit that actually is going to help you with your autobiography. I think you've probably got to grips with this. I think you've got it. So there is a clip, if you want a bit more help, a bit more information, there is a clip on BBC Bitesize. I've put a link in the PowerPoint. So feel free to have a look at that. A bit more information about brackets, how we use them, why we use them and where they go. Betty, what to rub off your lovely picture. But the main thing, the reason that we do these connecting lessons is to connect the ideas from the Waggle, the things that we know we're going to be like gathering up and magpieing, to what you're going to end up writing the rest of the week. So this is to help you. So I want you to go back to your chart that you did last week, the one that you've done quite a bit of work on, the information that you were gathering about your funny moments, your first memories, yeah? And all the information you were putting on that chart. And I want you to go back and I want you to think and choose, let me just check what I've put on the PowerPoint, 3 of the sentences. So maybe you could choose the information that you put about your first memory. So your first memory, for example, might have been, my first memory was when, squeaky pen, isn't it? My first memory was when I was, no, I'm going to not put when I was, I'm going to put, my first memory was when I fell out of bed. Full stop. So you find the one that's your sentence, and you can choose, like I say, choose 3 that you're going to work on. But say this was one of your sentences. Try and imagine this was one of yours. My first memory was when I fell out of bed. I want you to think, how could you add some extra information that would entertain the reader that you're going to put in brackets? So for example, I might add, my first memory when I was 5. Yeah, that's a little bit of extra information. So, and we're talking about the memory, aren't we? So we're talking about that. So if I add up there, my first memory, and again, you'll need to write the whole sentence out once you've discovered it. My first memory when I was 5 was when I fell out of bed. So now the reader's got a little bit more information. They've got the context. We're not talking about a 2-year-old or a 85-year-old. We're talking about being 5 years old. And it's got that bit more information, hasn't it? So what I want you to do, and this is the bit where hopefully I'll explain what you're to do. I want you to write out the sentence you choose, how you've written it. Then I want you to write it again with the added bit of information in brackets. Okay, so that's 3 sentences written twice, because you're going to write the sentence how you've remembered it, or the event that you've written about. Then you're going to write it again with some extra information in brackets somewhere in that sentence. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, you can message me on Google Classroom and I can always telephone you, or I can speak to you at some point, okay, and we can go through it. So my first memory when I was 5 was when I fell out of bed. Or I'll do you one more example before I'm going to go. Okay, my next example, I'll write in green pen this time. I love to go dancing. Oh, I think this was one that was on the thing. Oh, it was, yeah. I love to go dancing. You can tell that I really do because that's what I think of. I love to go dancing. Can you see that still? I love to go dancing each week. Okay, so that was my sentence. I love to go dancing each week, which might be something that I was telling in my autobiography. But I'm going to add an extra bit of information to try and entertain the reader. So I'm going to add, I love to go dancing. I think this dancing bit's the most important bit of the sentence, so that's what I'm going to add extra information about. I love to go dancing. I'm going to put, but, can you see that? But I'm not very good each week. Let me just read that back again. I love to go dancing, but I'm not very good each week. I'm not sure I love that. I love to go dancing. I don't think that I love to go dancing, but I'm not very good each week. I think that sounds like I've just put it in for the sake of putting something extra in. It hasn't worked like I wanted it to. Tell you what I might add though. I'm going to get rid of that because I don't think it reads very well. I love to go dancing. I'm going to put bracket and see my friends. Close brackets. I can't hardly fit that in. I love to go dancing and see my friends each week. That's better. Can you see how I thought I'd got it? I thought I'd tried. I thought I knew what I wanted to say. I thought it was going to be funny to say I wasn't very good at dancing. But it didn't quite work. So now I've changed it to I love to go dancing and see my friends each week. And I think that gives a bit more information than it sounds. So don't be afraid. Have a go like I did. But if it doesn't actually work, you've just got to be brave and resilient to actually go, I'm going to do that again. Okay, so 3 of your sentences, 3 of the things that you want to include in your autobiography. Choose those 3. And then for each of those, I want you to come up with an extra bit of information you can add in brackets, because that's going to be included in your writing, which we're going to start tomorrow. All right, so I will see you this afternoon for your live session, for your reading, or if you're doing this out of order and you're doing it later, I will see you tomorrow, where we will teach the next bit for the drafting live for writing. Thank you so much, and please do let me know how you're getting on. It's really weird. I think I'm putting on a really weird voice, and I'm sorry. I'm not very used to doing this. It's very strange. So thank you for bearing with me, and I'll see you later. Keep going, Year 4. You're doing brilliantly.